Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's the world's most famous hockey tournament. There's pressure that goes along with it, and they lost. Sorry, I'm done. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Over to you.
Yeah, I was with you in terms of my interest was down to a zero. But I watched a little bit of the late games yesterday, and I was watching a little bit of the Sweden-Switzerland game. And actually, I'm a little bit now intrigued to see if Sweden can get it done at home. So that's my rooting interest. I'll watch a little bit to see how Sweden can do at home, because they historically don't play well in the medal round, and they play so good in the round robin. So that's for me. On the criticism of the team, it is interesting because, we are so passionate about this tournament and about Canada, and we hang a lot of pride, national pride on this tournament. So it's important to kind of have those high expectations, and when they don't meet them, it's okay to be critical and to say, look, this team didn't meet the expectations. They need to be better. But at the same time, I've seen stuff online and seen other people reference, DMing players and saying things about individual kids. I mean, that's where I crossed the line, right? Nowhere on this program are we, signaling out kids. And I think that's important, right? There's a line between being critical and being disrespectful. And I think it's important to toe that line. And I think we do that. I think that's something that I'm really proud that we do. We can be critical and not be disrespectful.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
What do you see ahead for Ryan Huska's crew here?
Well, it's going to be tough. They're in a tough hole, and they're going to have to play, 650 or 670 or above that to finish the season to get in a wild card spot. They're finding a way to win by playing the right way, the way Ryan wants them to play. They work hard. We'll see. It's a tough road ahead.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It absolutely is. It's episode number 1151 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, coming your way on the Game Plus television network. We're on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, and podcast and streaming form. I'm here, as you can see or hear the rustle in the trees. Moose is in Toronto. And Moose, I have just one request of you and all of the audience today. Are you ready for it? Just one request.
Okay.
I am in a fantastic mood. You probably could figure that out from our few moments of rambling before we went to air. Please don't ruin it. People, please don't ruin it.
We'll do our best.
Go. Things are awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about you at all. But there are certain people that I'm worried about, so I'm just putting that disclaimer out there. Please don't ruin Rod's great mood. Coming up on the program today, Luke Gazdic, NHL veteran from the Mitts Off podcast and Sportsnet's NHL coverage. And that's in hour one. In hour two, the reigning coach of the year of the Western Hockey League, Brennan Sonne of the Saskatoon Blades, first place team in the Eastern Conference, pride of Maple Ridge, BC. Lots to talk to Brennan Sonne about. He's such a good guy. And obviously a tremendous hockey coach. So there's going to be a lot of hockey, but I got some football in here too. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? Please, thank you.
How about that?
I want to tell you a big reason why. Before we get into all of the stuff that all the other shows are talking about, which I'll give you the roadmap. Leafs won last night. Kudos to the Leafs Nation. We'll talk about that game and what it means. I have some funny things to get to, the NFL coaching carousel. All the talk here is Bills-Dolphins on Sunday. That's all anybody's talking about here. Who's going to win? What does it mean? Are you going? Tyreek Hill's house went up in a blaze. World Juniors, NHL tonight, top five, bottom five. So that's a lot of what we're going to get to here. But I want to tell you, as you saw on my social media channels, Derek, I spent a good chunk of Wednesday with Peter Worrell, the 6'7" fighter, Florida Panthers, great. He was a great because the fans loved him. We do this Panthers podcast, and I put it out to the Panthers fans. Who would you like to see the most on this show? And running away with it was Peter Worrell. And it took until January. We've been doing the show 4 months, but it took until January for us to get him. And here's what I loved about it. We all remember Peter Worrell.
Oh, yeah.
But we talked junior hockey. It's the junior hockey stories. We say this in the recovery business. When you connect with somebody in the recovery world where we're empaths and we align that way, you could talk for hours. It was the same thing with Peter Worrell. Yeah, he's 6'7". He's from Montreal. He comes out of the queue. Doesn't matter. We're still hockey guys. And you, being born in 1987 and Clark in 91, you don't really remember a time before internet. So he talked about playing in the Memorial Cup in 1996, 95 in Kamloops, and 97 in Hull. So, Darren, he was on the top line of Hull, Peter Worrell. The point that I'm getting to is he was playing pretty well, but he wasn't on the top line. And once they won the Q, they're going out to Kamloops to play in the Memmer. And the coach, I think it was Claude Julien, says, congrats, Peter, you're going to play on the left wing of the top line. He's like, yeah, I deserve it. Yes, I'm that good. Get to the Memorial Cup, and congratulations, you're matching up against the Kamloops Blazers, Nat Kelly, Jerome McGinley, Shane Doan. Good luck.
Oh, no.
And I think he said they got their ass handed to them 13-1 in the first game. And that was pre-internet. I kind of wonder now why we have scouts. Why do we even need them? Because back then, we would have scouts at the game. You would have detailed scouting reports on every player. Now you don't need it because we have the internet. You're watching all the games. You have all the analytics. You have all the stats. You know, and it was just fun talking about that. And then we got into the, I don't want to scoop myself because the podcast will drop later today. As a matter of fact, it might have already. But Peter Worrell, it was just awesome. And this South Florida hockey community is so fantastic. I love them so much. And I cannot tell you how well we've been treated. I'm so grateful for. I love it. As Arnie Jackson said today from Calgary, you know Arnie Jackson, the legendary Chuck Wagon announcer, he says, Rod, you've found your niche. And I'm like, yes, I have. It feels real good. Now, on to the Leafs. Austin Matthews, .2, scored just over 2 minutes into overtime, and the Toronto Maple Leafs rallied for a 2-1 victory over the Anaheim Ducks. Wednesday night, squeaking by after taking 57 shots on goal. Martin Jones made 27 saves in his second shutout performance in 2 nights after earning the shutout over L.A. on Tuesday. Johnny Tavares scored with just under 6 minutes to go to send the game to overtime. Delivered his 30th of the season in OT to beat Ducks goalie Lucas Dostal. There was only one other game. I want to mention this. Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer, and Michael McLeod all scored 2 goals each, and the Devils spanked the Capitals 6-3. Did you stay up? Have you become that Torontonian now? You stayed up to watch the Leafs out on the West Coast?
Yeah, I did. And I was actually pretty grateful. It was a 9 p.m. Eastern start, not 10:30 like it was the night before, Tuesday night in Los Angeles. You know what? Again, the Leafs started on time. But the difference is they got goalied a little bit. Lucas Dostal played really well. I mean, what did you say? 57 saves was the final number there. And it took right until the final few minutes, late in that third period for the Leafs to finally break through. And that's the one thing that frustrates Leaf fans is, I mean, the shots were, 14-5 out the gate. They were 28-10, in the second period. And yet they didn't score. That's a little frustrating. But good goaltending from Anaheim. That's how they're going to win some games. And they never quit. I thought there was a moment where the Leafs were going to say, it's not happening tonight, and just kind of fold it in the third. They didn't. They scored. They ended up winning in overtime and all as well. But what an effort by that young goaltender.
I appreciate all those that have showed up on time and those that are just a smidge late for your favorite daytime sports talk show. Allie is checked in from Texas. She says, happy Thursday, RP and squad. Back from my holiday hiatus. Back to reality, LOL. Hope everyone had a good holiday season. We did, Allie. Thank you, and thanks for checking in. And we are talking hockey today. We're going to come around to football in a bit. It is January, after all, and it is Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. I'll only say this about the Leafs. Few things. And I've realized this comes with age. I was doing my expenses for the month of December, and certain people will get this. A lot won't, but that doesn't matter. I got charged for a senior's movie ticket. Senior. And I'm so excited about it. I'm so happy. And you won't understand why I would be happy about that. Because at your age, nobody wants to be thought of as a senior. I love it. You get cheap deals. You got no stress. Everything's fantastic. Why was that my point? I have it written down here. With seniors moment with the Leafs. Here's why I don't hate the Leafs. And I think people understand I don't hate the Leafs. I just wish their fans would dial it back quite a bit. And that's also never going to happen, but that's Rider fans, us Cowboy fans, Yankees fans. That's just what happens with those, what do you call it, historic franchises. Their fan bases are nuts. But I see with Austin Matthews, it's age. I knew if I talked long enough, it would come. Now I understand why my thing is, let's get to the playoffs and we'll talk then. That's not necessarily right, but everybody runs around with the minute-to-minute, game-by-game minutiae or shift-to-shift analysis of the teams or the football teams, the play-by-play, and that, while that is how you win games, you can't freak out just because a guy had an off month or had an off shift. Like, look at Austin Matthews. He's hit 30 goals now for 8 straight seasons. He's been in the NHL 8 seasons. It's a very select club of guys that have done that, especially Americans. I go back and look at the list. You would know the names. Mike Modano, I think Neil Broughton did it. I was a little surprised to see Keith Tkachuk on that list. And he's still going strong. But in the first half of the season, Serena was one of the ones saying Austin Matthews has been bad. He hasn't even been the best Leaf. And I never even stopped to think about whether he was having a bad season or not, because he'll be fine. He's a great player on a great team. Maybe he did have a bit of a slow start, but look what he's doing now. Scoring winning goals, and the Leafs are turning the corner. But nobody in Toronto would stop and think about that. You know what I mean? I think it comes a little bit with age, just patience, man. You can't win the marathon in a month, and that's my viewpoint on things. And I think it does come with age to a lot of degrees. Like, you heard the Matthews criticism. Of course you did. You're in Toronto. Did you buy into it at the time?
Not at the I mean, a little bit, because, he had that great start. And then there was the lull. There was a little lull there, and you started wondering, okay, was that just a hot start? Is he done? Where is he going to go? Like, where is the season going to go? And then he picked up and got hot again. Now he's got 30 goals, and he's on pace for 70 this year. You do have to pull back, and that's great advice. Like you say, it's a seniors thing. It's an experience thing where you can pull back and say, okay, we're not going to judge the whole picture based on one small sample size. We need to see more and have a little bit of patience. So I think that's great. And on the seniors movie tickets, there was a few of us. We tried doing that when we were young, buying the seniors ticket and see if they would notice at the check counter, at the counter, and did it once, no problem. I don't know if we ever did it a second time, though.
No, but here's the thing. I thought about that. I was like, how did I buy that ticket? No, it was a lovely young gal sold me the ticket. She clearly thought that I'm a senior, which incidentally, I'm not. But at the Golden Corral, you only got to be 55. I'm 51. Like, we're getting there. Serena can't wait either. She's like, we'll be eligible for cheaper housing in cheaper communities. Hurry up and become a senior. Now, it doesn't bother me at all. And I do laugh when I see people on social media whining about getting another year older or maybe gaining another wrinkle or a gray hair. I'm like, you son of a... Growing older is a gift. You should be grateful for it, not complain about it. I can't believe it. It says so much about the type of people that are saying those types of things. Anyways, thank you, John in Edmonton. He says, Rod, you're not a day over 30, my friend. Well, I certainly don't feel it. Feel younger now than when I was a teen. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says, Darren's onto something there. In grade 12, you are a senior of high school. Yeah, so we won't tell that Darren snuck his way into the movie theater. We won't tell anybody that and broke the law. As we move along, 902-518-3033 is the Sober Carpenter text line. We've got some new sponsors to announce today that I'm pretty excited about, too. Hang on to that. That's coming up. 902-518-3033, the Sober Carpenter text line. Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers. Ask for them by name at your local wine, beer, and spirits store. Well, yeah, let me jump into the poll question just for a second. The poll question today, while we're on the hockey topic, is for Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group is driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. The question is, are you still watching the World Juniors with Canada out? That's a no from me, dog. No. And now I feel bad because I have it on in the house only because Serena's watching it. If you can believe she's that gal. Reminds me of my mom watching every CFL game. Serena watches every World Juniors game. And she was all studied up going into this tournament. She's watching it all. I only have it on in the house, but if it was up to me, it would be a no. And on Twitter, 54% of the audience saying no, they're not watching it. Jeff in Winnipeg says, great poll question. Yes, I'm still watching. Always have, no matter if Canada's in or not. I'm invested in the future NHL players like Jets draft pick Rutger McGroarty. Moose, yes or no from you? Are you still watching the World Jays even though Canada isn't in it?
It's a yes for me because I got on the Sweden bandwagon. So I was watching their game, their win, tight into the third period, and they pulled out a win. So Sweden will play for gold. I'll watch the gold medal game.
Here's another thing for the people that actually are on whatever mental level I'm on. It might be high, it might be low, it might be in the middle, but it's different from everybody else. I'm not sure where it is. But Peter Worrell yesterday in the interview, we were asking him about how being tough, and who... Again, I don't want to scoop myself. It was an unbelievable episode, probably my favorite Cats and Bolts podcast we've done. But Serena said, who's the toughest guy I ever fought? And he said, Tony Twist grabbed me and spun me around like a top. He's 6'7", 245. Tony Twist grabbed him and spun him around. He's like, nobody had ever done that before. But he goes, that's not tough. This is what's tough. Playing with Joe Sakic in Colorado. Joe Sakic, the pressure on him knowing that if he has a bad game, Johnny and Martha and their kids that spent all that money on the tickets are going to go home disappointed and be mad at him. And if he has a bad month or curses 2 bad months, the season's up in smoke. He's like, I can have a bad game. Nobody cares. I barely saw the ice. Joe Sakic can't. That's pressure. Every single night he needs to be at his best. That's tough. Then he looked at us like, are you following along? And we're just like, we just loved the interview with him. It was so great. In the minute we have left here, a couple things that are going on in the football world. Obviously, 2 things. If your team's in it, you're excited. Miami, Buffalo this weekend, there's a big uproar that there's going to be more Bills fans in the stadium than Dolphins fans in Miami. And Dolphins season ticket holders are getting admonished for selling their tickets to Bills fans in the biggest game of the year that'll decide the division going into the playoffs. And I'm like, I used to be the guy that would worry what people thought about that. Now I don't care. I think we all know that. And I don't think you care either. It's business. If you can make up your entire season ticket fee on one game to a Bills fan, of course you're going to sell it. What the hell's wrong with that? But that's Darren, that's part of the discussion that's going on here right now. Would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't. And I get it. And also, you're feeling maybe not quite so good about the Dolphins kind of limping their way in and may end up in a wild card spot here if they don't win on the weekend. But this is the game of the week. It is the game of the week. I went through the list, and maybe we got to bring it. I got to find it and bring it up next segment or next hour. But all the quarterbacks that are going to play this week, they're all names that we've heard of that were starters 5-6 years ago, because it's kind of a throwaway week. But there are still 20 teams that are still eligible to win the Super Bowl, still alive. This is the biggest game of the week. So South Florida is a fun place to be right now.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the coaching carousel and who is the odds-on favorite to be fired first come Black Monday. And then as the show goes along, we'll talk about the NHL tonight's games. There are 13. What's the game of the night? Our NHL top 5, bottom 5 is going to surprise a lot of you. So that's all on the way. We'll be right back after this brief pause. We're only a couple points into the Quick 6 show topics in the warm-up on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Half the final jackpot total. All proceeds to Telemiracle 48, supporting Saskatchewan charity. Visit telemiracle.com to learn how the Kinsman Foundation is helping people every day in Saskatchewan to improve their independence and quality of life. I'm so excited to be able to say that and have them back for another year and support Saskatchewan's charity. We got some good stuff here. Good stuff. Let's bring the Moose in. I told you I'm in a good mood. So far, nobody's ruined it. Let's keep the streak going. And before we jump into the topics, more topics, just on the World Jays, Sweden defeated Czechia 5-2 in a semifinal this morning. The poll question, you don't need to put up the graphic, guys. We did once already this hour, but are you still watching the World Juniors with Canada out? For me, it's a no, but it was on in the house here. Sweden beating Czechia 5-2 in the one game. And then shortly, Finland will be taking to the ice against USA. And it's fun. Hey, cheer for whoever you want. I don't care. The guy wrote in here yesterday and said, as long as USA has a chance to still lose and be eliminated, I'll be watching. And I'm like, you do you, bro. I've never been that guy. But whatever your reasons are, cool that you're watching. John in Edmonton writes in and says, why do you think fans are sending hurtful messages to the boys on Team Canada? Why do I think? Because I know hurting people hurt people. There's a difference between me saying Canada blew it at the World Juniors by coming home without a medal. That's not sending hurtful messages. We kind of covered this earlier, and we certainly covered it yesterday. But why do people bully? Why do they do these things? There's something wrong with them. I thought about this a lot when Ethan Bear was putting up with racial messages from Oiler fans back in the day. There's something wrong with him. Talked to Peter Worrell about it yesterday when he said the worst racial taunts and abuse that he suffered was in junior. We all heard about what went on in the NHL. He said it was worse in junior. And Claude Julien and the leaders of that whole Olympic team sat him down and said, this isn't right behavior. It's wrong. It's nothing to do with you. It's no different than what's going on in these hurtful things being said to the Canadian kids. People are whack jobs. That's why. I don't really need your opinion on it, Darren, but I'll ask for it anyways. Why do you think people are sending hurtful messages to the members of Team Canada?
I just can't understand that at all. I just can't. And I see, not from the World Juniors here, but I see it all the time. People screenshotting their DMs. When people come into their DMs with hurtful and mean and disrespectful messages. And it's just like, I just don't understand, how a person can be wired in a way that they think that that's okay to go into somebody's messages and blast them. But I also don't know the pain that somebody else is going through, right? I can't, claim to be understanding of what's going on in your mind or the next person's mind and know what they're going through that puts them in a state that lets them think that this is okay. But you're right. When you say hurting people hurt people, it's just none of that's acceptable. So I feel bad for the players that are getting singled out.
Well, I hope that they're getting proper counseling. I mean, we're getting off topic, but I think this is good stuff. This is what we do on The View for sports fans here, everybody. I remember when Willie Desjardins, the former head coach, was it Willie? No, it was Mark Lamb, former Edmonton Oiler when he was coaching the Swift Current Broncos, called a news conference to ask the fans to lay off his players on social media. And I felt like calling him up and going, Lammer, that's never going to happen. Counsel your players and make them realize that what's being said to them should bounce off of them, right? But the teams don't do that. It would be nice if they did. But you mentioned, you're like, Darren, of course you wouldn't get it. You've never hurt a person in your life. You have. That's not, you don't have it in you. So you wouldn't get it either. So there's your answer, John. I don't want to go too far down that road, but John Schmeiser in Kansas City says, I'm always amazed at the pressure we put on these kids. When they win, it's expected. When they lose, we act like the world's coming to an end. They deserve better. From BW in Edmonton, he says, millennial keyboard warriors think they can be tough on the peanut gallery against the Canadian boys. Grow some balls. Or get out of the arena. Well, number one, don't paint it all on millennials. Some of the most bitter, horrible people I know are not millennials. Don't draw that broad paintbrush stroke. Hate wasn't invented by social media. It just brought it to the fore. It's always been around. Yeah, I want to move on. That was the question from John in Edmonton, and I get it. Jeff in Winnipeg says, if people are that bent out of shape about Team Canada like that, they need to sell their TV and delete all their social media. Maybe go live off the grid or something. We could sit and do 2 hours on this. I say that all the time. If your sports team doesn't have to just be Team Canada, it could be the Dolphins, could be the Leafs, could be your local senior team. If you're going to become unhinged because they lost a game, look in the mirror. I don't see it as similar as to what I was saying that Canada blew it at the World Juniors. I don't. I'll say it again. Canada did not play their best. Some guy wrote into our show account and said, Rod, if hockey's not your thing, maybe shut up. But Canada played great for 40 minutes and scored on themselves and had a bad break. 40 minutes? Last I checked, the game was 60. Like, what are we talking about here? We took a period off, but that's what I'm talking about. It's not just a hockey tournament where we're all having hot chocolates after the game and going to a movie. It's the world's most famous hockey tournament, and it's a business. So there are expectations, and it's not okay to fail, or at the very least, expect some criticism if you do come home without a medal. All right, I've had enough of that. Have you? Yeah, I'm sure you have. To the football thing. Listen, tomorrow's Football Friday. We're going to spend way more time then on football. But I love this. Like, America is so much different from Canada in a million ways. I used to think that 49th parallel was just a virtual line, in my atlas, if anybody knows what that is. But no, it might as well be a 12-foot high wall because the people are so different, especially the media. USA Today came out with their hot seat rankings. Who's the most likely to get fired come Monday? Who do you think, Darren? You follow the NFL very closely. Who do you think would be their number one power ranking coach to be fired in the NFL? And you might be a little surprised at who's number two. I was, but who do you think is number one?
Bill Belichick.
He's number two. He's number two.
Okay.
That surprised me a little bit. Number one's Riverboat Ron. Riverboat Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders. And to be honest, I was a little surprised when they said he's 62. Feels like he's been around forever. To me, 62 doesn't feel that old anymore. But Riverboat Ron is number one. Bill Belichick is number two. Number three is the Falcons, Arthur Smith. And number four is the Saints, Dennis Allen. And I find that kind of funny because two of those coaches reside in the NFC South. So it was like, whoever didn't win that bad division is going to get fired, which I get. The more time I spend down here, I understand even more the pressure. And it's not much better in hockey, but football's worse, which is a whole other topic. But Rivera, number one, Bill Belichick, number two, which is another thing. I was talking to Johnny O about this at the gym not that long ago. Johnny O, he is that guy. Speaking of 62, ripped. He's from Boston. I thought he almost pulled a vocal cord one time, Johnny O, when he said, Boston Garden. That's how he talks. And I said, what do you think Belichick should go, huh? He's like, you don't fire a guy like that, Rod. You don't fire a guy like that. He won 6 Super Bowls. You have a conversation. I'm like, well, however you want to do it, he's got to go. If he wants to stand up there and say he's quitting, oh, man, am I going down? Yeah, everything's lining up here. It's weird. No ADD today, but still annoying and arrogant. Belichick, somebody said, is 71. I'd have to look it up, but somebody said Belichick's 71. Does that sound right?
It does, that he'd be close to 70 anyway. And the other one is Pete Carroll in Seattle, I think, is over 72. Right?
Yeah, Pete's always been the oldest in the NFL and looks the youngest, but by age, he is the oldest. But with Belichick, Bart Scott was saying this morning on ESPN, if you watched it, that nobody knows how much Belichick makes because he's the coach and the GM. It's hidden. He threw out the dollar figure of $30 million. The guy does not need to work. And I guess somebody sat down with Belichick and said, Bill, come on, maybe retire. And he said, this is what I do. So we can't really get inside his head, or you should never try to really get inside anybody else's head because you can't figure it out. But he'll coach until the day he dies. That's his choice. I think I heard that his marriage broke up. Most recent marriage broke up this season. I had one coach say to me one time, you can always get another wife. There's only one sport of football. And I was like, oh, whoo. Okay. That's how they look at it. And having said that, though, you wouldn't believe how many guys there are down here in Florida. And I'm not going to say them by name on the air. I'll tell you later off the air if you want. You don't know who they took their millions and just moved to Florida. Bye. And you're never going to hear from them again. And again, I'll tell you later, if you thought real hard, you would know who they were. But with the millions now in coaching in both college and NFL, they can do it. I mean, one guy specifically said he's got $40 million in the bank. I'm not working again. I don't even think he's 40 years old. Right around there. Coaching camps, taking his kid to school. You know what I mean? So there's that. I don't see anything wrong with that. There's a lot of those guys. And if I said their names, you'd know every one. But because they went under the radar, you don't know who they are. Did that surprise you or not? Because Surprised me a little bit.
Surprises me enough to the point where, I know these football guys and hockey guys too, that they want to be in the game. They're not really in the game for the money. So it's just like they can't handle being out of the game and not winning, or going out, being fired or whatever and not winning and just taking the paycheck. It wasn't about, I'm going to coach to get rich and then I'm done coaching. You coach to win. So that's the only part that surprises me. But they've got more than enough money that they would easily never have to work again.
Well, I'll give you one name, okay? Former LSU coach Ed Orgeron. They just won the national championship not that long ago. And the only reason I bring up Ed's name is because when I was in New Orleans having supper or lunch with the Estes, the former D-line coach of the Riders, Ron Estee, and his wife Debbie, and her brother Scott, and Serena was with me. I said, whatever happened to Ed and Debbie jumps in. She's like, Orgeron? That's Ron's cousin. He went to Florida. He went down there with some gal, took his money. We haven't heard from him. If you're Ed Orgeron, fired, you got tens of millions of a buyout from the LSU Tigers. Bye. So that's one. Have you thought of Ed Orgeron since he left LSU? Have you?
No. This is the first time that name's even crossed my mind.
Right. And she's like, that's Ron's cousin. Right. So that's the football world, and that's the world that I'm immersed in here, and it's fascinating as hell. Anyways, I'll see you in hour 2.
See you then.
We'll get back to the hockey topics right after this when we return with Luke Gazdick from the Mitts Off podcast and Sportsnet's NHL coverage. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Esteban and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Bringing in Luke Gazdic right away. I just want to let him know what we've been talking about today regarding Canada coming home without a medal at the World Jays. Herb in Melville writes in, he says, adults need to grow up and get off social media. Tomorrow, next year, it's another day. Life goes on. Unbelievable. Glenn in Moose Jaw. Regina, he says, you were not bullying by saying the junior men's did not play their best, Rod. Not sure it was the level of the talent on the team. I think it was some coaching decisions and bad bounces. And our poll question is, are you even watching anymore with Canada out? Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in, he says, I will only check the highlights now that Canada's out. Do Canada's coaches bear any responsibilities? Let's start there with Luke Gazdic. He's a Toronto boy, played in Erie, and in the show with the Oilers and Devils. We start there, Luke, with people being too hard on Canada, the players. What's your take on them coming home after losing out in the quarterfinal?
Yeah, I think people are always generally too hard on kids that young. I mean, it's disappointing anytime they don't even reach the medal stage. I think that's the biggest disappointing part of it all. But let's be serious. That's not even the best team that they had. If we had every single player that Canada had to offer, we're looking at probably a different result. But even going into that, knowing some people that are a lot more fluent than me in the conversation, Sam Cosentino, one of my partners at Sportsnet, and the people we bring on, this team probably wasn't as skilled as the U.S. and Sweden, and they were going to have to grind it down a little more. I think a lot of people expected them, myself included, expected them to go a little farther than the quarters. It's disappointing we didn't medal, but and for people to be being as hard as they are on the kids at that age, a little irresponsible in my view. Disappointing anytime we can't come home with medal.
Cool. Hey, from the audience, I got my questions, but theirs are always more fun. Allie in Texarkana, she remembers you from Austin days. She says, I love when Luke is on the show. Do you have a fun Austin, Texas story from your time with the Texas Stars? Something real quick.
Well, I'm still the all-time penalty minute and fight leader with the Texas Stars. So I started my career there. 4 years, 19 to 22 age. Some of my fondest memories were made in Cedar Park, Texas.
It is a grand town. From BW in Edmonton says, pardon me, Luke, who was the toughest hockey fighter you faced and hardest body checker?
Oh, good questions. The fighter part, I've never felt, still to the day, anyone as strong as Brian McGrattan. And I fought him my first battle of Alberta in Calgary, center ice at the Saddle Dome. And when he grabbed onto my collar, I had never felt something like that in my life. He had this ability to move me around anywhere he wanted to go. And I remember just having an internal dialogue, just kind of hang in here, breathe, stay in there. But there was nobody like Big Earn, I'll tell you that much. Hitter.
Those are the best. Yeah.
But Dustin Byfuglien, anyone that has seen the YouTube clip of me get hit by Dustin Byfuglien, and I did a full 180, there was nobody like him in hockey, especially when he got moving. And when I tried to hit him multiple times, it was just like bouncing off a brick wall.
How many fights were you in, Luke, all time? Do you know? Do you have a stat on that?
176 all time.
Okay, well, that's a lot. So have you ever seen this? I was talking with Tim Hunter. He said the hardest he ever got hit was Nick Fatiu in MSG New York Rangers. Said he hit him right in his forehead and shattered his helmet in half. And I've been hearing lately a lot of that happening. Do you ever see that happen? You ever had that happen to you?
Nothing that crazy. I took some big ones over my career. I almost had my rib broken that same year. Milan Lucic. I squared up with him in Edmonton. And you always expect the punches to go over the top, and he came underneath and hit me with a body shot in the ribs. And oh man, I had to take a couple seconds to make sure I still had my breath there.
Gotcha. Well, hey, I'm always glad to have you on. And you mentioned the Battle of Alberta. They're starting to talk about them in Alberta. Upcoming battles of Alberta in the second half, Oilers and Flames. And our poll question yesterday was, who's going to make it? Both Alberta teams? Neither? Or Oilers or Flames? They're all thinking the Oilers will make it, and they're all thinking the Flames will miss. Are you going along with that? What do you think about Alberta's NHL teams?
Yeah, I think the Oilers is a non-negotiable for them. I think they're 1 point out now. They have a bunch of games in hand on Nashville, playing some of the best hockey that we've seen them play this year, if not the best. Calgary is just such an interesting situation for me because I think with all those guys in the lineup and with the way they play, I'll give them a lot of credit, Rod. They work and they compete and they battle. Ryan Huska has instilled a pretty good culture there so far this year where guys really do work. They just don't always work smart and efficiently. And they have the goaltender, but I just long term, those guys that are going to be UFAs, I don't see a couple of them re-signing. So you have to move them for assets. And that's the thing is once you lose those 3 big contracts, your team looks completely different. I don't see them being a playoff team, but yeah, I'll give them credit. I think they've performed better than I thought they were actually going to this year.
Well, what are you seeing / hearing whether the Flames are going to do that? They haven't. What makes us think this will be the year that they finally offload those guys?
Yeah, and I don't claim to be an expert insider. I like to lean on more of the analysis side, but I look at the big picture, and you have some young players that have come up and really performed. I would think that Dustin Wolf is the goalie of the future, and I think that makes Jacob Markstrom expendable. I look at a guy like Noah Hannafin and a guy like Elias Lindholm. I just think from being a player and understanding guys on expiring deals, I really truly think that if they wanted to play there, they would have signed already. That's my thought on the whole thing is if you're willing to drag it out this long, then there's probably something in the water that's saying, maybe I don't want to be here long term. I think Hannafin's gone for sure. Lindholm, it's looking more and more like he doesn't want to sign long term. If I was the Flames and Craig Conroy, I would be doing everything to sign Chris Tanev. I don't care about the injury concern and the longevity. I think he's such a good veteran. I think he's such a good personality to have there, even if you're rebuilding. But the 2 aforementioned guys, I think, are probably on their way out, and I don't know when. It's going to be interesting to see how Craig Conroy plays this.
Last one, and I could talk about this with you forever, but you and I have talked about the Blackhawks. I know you have an issue with their history, but look what they did. They said, we're going through a rebuild. This was Stan Bowman. He's long gone now, but you remember Kane and Taves said, we don't want to be part of this. Stan was like, see ya. We got to do it. And now look where they are. They're down that road. It's painful, but you got to go down that road. Don't you think?
Yeah, I really do. I just see so many teams kind of like the Flames that are in this in-between, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Nashville reminds me of that in a way where you go out and spend all this money on some great veterans in Luke Schenn and Ryan O'Reilly, but I just don't know what you're doing. What are you trying to accomplish here? Is making the playoffs just good enough? And I kind of have to respect teams like the Hawks and even more point the Sharks too, who will probably end up dealing some of those where they're going all in on this full rebuild. Let's get ourselves some good draft picks, maybe sign a couple good vets that can help these guys out along, but there's got to be a little bit of darkness before the dawn here. And I just feel like so many teams get caught in this in and out mentality that really just puts your team further behind the 8 ball in the future.
You got to die before you can live. Put it on my tombstone. Good stuff, Luke. I always enjoy your analysis. Obviously, our viewers do too. Thanks, man. All the best in 2024.
Always a pleasure, Rod. Thanks.
Sportsnet's Luke Gazdick from the Mitts Off podcast. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and audience takeover. Brendan, Sonne of the Blades coming up in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hour 1 rolls on of your favorite daytime sports talk show. A special shout out. Name another show that does this. Recognizes its viewers and listeners. Michael Wynn from Icetime Sports in Winnipeg watches this like he does every day. And he writes me on Twitter. He says, man, I used to yell F-bombs at Luke Gazdick because he'd get under the Jet's skin. But man, what a nice guy. I feel bad for yelling at him. Don't. He'll say he was just doing his job. But he is a nice guy. And I'll say it again. That interview that we did yesterday for the Cats and Bolts podcast, the one that we do on the Panthers and Lightning, with Peter Worrell. Not that I didn't think he was a nice guy, but I came out of that really thinking he's a nice guy. Peter Worrell, the 6'7" Panthers fan favorite, and had those junior hockey stories from his time in Hull and the Memorial Cups and Kamloops and Hull. Oh, my God. Love it. Put it in my veins. The fighters are the nicest guys. It's always been the way. Okay, we got some sports breaking news. How about this? A fire at the $7 million home owned by Miami receiver Tyreek Hill was started by a child playing with a cigarette lighter in a bedroom, a fire official said today. It was an accidental fire, said Davie Fire Marshal Robert Taylor. He told the Associated Press. Tyreek Hill was at the Dolphins' practice for the upcoming regular season finale against the Bills when the fire broke out. He left practice when he got word about the fire. The house is located in Southwest Ranches, which is about 30 miles northwest of Miami. Nowhere near here. But did you see the video and the photos? Half the house, and I'm talking mansion, like South Fork from the show Dallas, half gone. Kid playing with a lighter. Meanwhile, Sweden will play for gold on home soil at the World Junior Hockey Championship. Jonathan Lekkerimäki scored the winner on a power play in the third period before adding an insurance goal as the tournament host defeated Czechia 5-2 in the first of two semifinals today. The Vancouver Canucks prospect blasted a one-timer past Czech goalie Michael Rabel on Sweden's first power play of the afternoon at 5:14 to snap a 2-2 tie. Sweden moving on to the gold medal final, and I was sitting with Sammy Cosentino. Funny that Luke would bring him up. I was sitting with him the other night at the Panthers game, and it was against the Rangers, and Mika Zibanejad was buzzing around on the ice. He's like, "There's your boy, Rod." And what he was referring to was Mika Zibanejad scoring in overtime, and Sweden won the gold medal at the 2012 World Juniors. Sammy and I called it on the Sportsnet radio network, and that was their only gold medal in 30 years. I think I said, and the 30th time is the charm. Now they're going for their second. Now, good for them. Sports Update is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca, and also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, where I'm recognized as a senior. In theaters now, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. When an ancient power reached, Aquaman forged an alliance with Atlantis and irreversible devastation. Starring Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Dolph Lundgren, and Nicole Kidman. Well, I would say that we sufficiently in hour one covered last night's NHL games and whatever topics carried over into today. Text line's humming, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Sober Carpenter Non-Alcoholic Craft Beers. We'll address those comments and questions when we come back in hour two when the Moose rejoins. We'll talk about tonight's 13-game NHL slate. We got to come up with a fun name for that Bet Regal thing. Who you think's going to win for Bet Regal? It's too long. Our NHL top five, bottom five's on the way. And whatever you'd like to talk about in Brennan, Sonne of the Blades after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
Approved.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
What do you see ahead for Ryan Huska's crew here?
Well, it's going to be tough. They're in a tough hole, and they're going to have to play, 650 or 670 or above that to finish the season to get in a wild card spot. They're finding a way to win by playing the right way, the way Ryan wants them to play. They work hard. We'll see. It's a tough road ahead.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Hour 2 coming at you live on the Game Plus Television Network and Key Radio. And we welcome back Darren Moose DuPont here in Hour 2 of the program. Just keeping the old train running, man. It was an awesome Hour 1. As I said off the top, I came into the show with a great mood. Please, people, don't ruin it. And so far, they have not. And we're going to roll into tonight's topics in the National Hockey League. What's up, Moose? Tell me something good.
Lots good. I'm in a good mood too, man. I don't know if it's just something about the day, the way the sun came out today, or what, but I don't know. I'm in a good mood too, so I feel it.
Canada lost the World Juniors, and the sun came up. There's your break. The sun came up.
Go figure.
I just saw. Okay, just to recap Hour 1 before we look forward. It was great. We talked about last night's Leafs win at Anaheim. 2 for 2 out west so far. And what else did we talk about? Luke Gazdic joined us. I love this. Luke Gazdic. He's great. Everybody seems to love him. From Sportsnet's NHL coverage, former Oiler and Devil. And he was talking about how the Flames need to do this, this, and this at the trade deadline. And I'm like, so do you think they will? And he was like, well, I don't know. It's what they should do. Well, yeah, I think we all know that. Will they? And I'm not saying he's a fantastic analyst, but that's the conundrum that the Flames ownership is in. I feel like if you sat them down, the president, John Bean, or the owner Murray Edwards, or even the general manager Craig Conroy, they might have really good reasons for why they're not going to commit the rebuild. I don't know what they might be. I don't know. But I go back to that Chicago Blackhawk thing. Do you remember that? I'm sure we talked about it on this show. As a matter of fact, I know we did. They made it very clear that they were going to go into a rebuild. And Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews walked into general manager Stan Bowman's office and said, yeah, we don't like that idea. We don't support it. And he's like, there's the door. You're either going to be part of this or you're not. And look where they are. They stunk, and they've stunk for quite a while. And now they're on their way back up. And I don't know, is it a Canadian versus American franchise thing that do you think? We've talked about why teams won't come out and outright say, we're going into a rebuild. We get why they don't. But other than being scared and sucking for a while and losing money, is there any other reason not to do it?
Those are pretty big reasons, though. You know, sucking for a while and losing a lot of money are things that teams don't typically want to do. You always want to, what you say, you're either selling wins or you're selling hope. So even when you're a middling team and you know, you're the Flames right now, you're still selling hope that we've got the talent, we can get into the playoffs. There's hope there because, you know, Huberdeau scored the other night. So now there's, you know, some hope that he's going to get going and we're going to get everybody rolling and we're going to steamroll the NHL. But is it realistic hope? That I don't know. Like Chicago is selling real hope, you know, with Connor Bedard and potentially another high draft pick coming in, Korchinski. They've got some good young pieces. There's a real hope there. Calgary's got to figure out, and you can't be afraid to rip the Band-Aid off, you know, go into hiding for a little bit and come back with a young, fresh, strong team. You can't be afraid to do it.
What an interesting topic today that I didn't expect. I'm glad I got my ears open. I got up early, and I went to a 12-step meeting today, and I was so glad that I did. It was a wonderful way to start the day, and one of the guys read the step 11 prayer, and part of that is you got to die before you can live. It's what you're talking about, and Gazdic said the same thing, like ripping the Band-Aid off. Hanging on. You're just hanging on. You're not going to move forward. And look at the Chicago Blackhawks. You've mentioned it, how exciting they are. You see the pundits and even the fans are saying they may not win, but I want to watch them every game. Now, they won a lottery. I'll quote Brian Burke. They won a freaking lottery. I get that. Okay? He is the latest Sidney Crosby. He's the latest Wayne Gretzky. I get that. But at least they did it. At least they put their balls on the table, the term we haven't used in so long. Damn. And said, we're gonna rebuild. And San Jose's doing it now, too, which will probably be reflective in our top 5, bottom 5 coming back later on this hour.
Well, look,
and by the way, Brendan Sonne will join us from the Blades. What do you got? Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, if I can. You know, they did rip the Band-Aid off. And whether Jonathan Toews, you know, being done and Patrick Kane moving on were in their control or out of their control or was part of that decision, look at the opposite. Look what Pittsburgh's done. They decided to keep running it back with Crosby, Malkin, Letang, added Carlson. They're not in a playoff spot, right? Which is, you know, ultimately the worst place to be is to be not good enough to make the playoffs, but just good enough to not get a good draft pick. Pittsburgh hasn't ripped the Band-Aid off, and they're kind of in a tough spot if they don't make the playoffs. Chicago did it, got rid of some legends, and now look where they are. Real bright future.
Well, and John Ohm, bless him, he writes in, says it's easy to sell real hope with number 98 on the roster. Yeah, but the point is they put themselves in a position to be in the lottery to win Connor Bedard. The Calgary Flames aren't doing that. So you got to give the Blackhawks credit for having the stones to say, we're doing it, we're going in a rebuild. And yes, it worked out. But my guy, Chris Jones, often says, if you roll the dice, you have a chance to win big. You also have a big chance to lose big, I might remind you. That's why they call it gambling. But if you're too afraid to roll the dice at all, you're never going to win. You're never going to get that generational player like Connor Bedard. That's all we're saying. Kudos to Chicago for having the cojones to do it. On the 2012 World Juniors, C. Lightning writes in and says, I listened to you when you announced that junior hockey tournament. You have the best expressive voice in sports. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Speaking of, you need to die to live again. This is the rebirth of me. Ta-da! How do you like us so far? I quite like it. As Arnie Jackson said, you found your niche. Yeah, feels good. With regards to your and my pick nightly in the NHL, and what are we going to call it? People are writing in with their ideas. Nelson, our VP of Sim Event, says, the Bet Regal breakaway bets.
Ooh.
It ain't bad. It ain't bad. Write it down.
Great.
Bet Regal breakaway bets. Yeah. John Ohm, by the way.
2-0 last night.
Says winner. He says winner or whiner. Bet Regal bets. Not bad, but I like the breakaway bets better. What did you say?
I said 2-0 last night, by the way. So if you're playing along with the breakaway bets, I think I had Jersey and Toronto.
You did, yeah. I had Caps and Leafs. One last thing in the World Juniors. It is interesting, and that's why just taken me a while. I'm kind of glad that I went slow with this. It's at my, Rand, he advised me, Rod, you always jump into things. Just maybe walk around the outside a couple times, size things up before you jump in again, and that's what I've done. I've thought about this for 2 years. What's the topic, the consensus of this RP show going to be? And I'm not going to try and morph U.S. Florida topics like college football and the damn heat and our Canadian audience. What's the point? We'll stick on these things. And if the people down here like the topics, great. If they don't, that's fine too. That's why we did our Panthers and Lightning show separate, and both are going great. And my point is the World Juniors. I've had a lot of my friends down here say when you start talking about the World Juniors, the junior hockey, you lose us. I'm like, well, sorry, that's a you problem. Because we got to talk about it. And with Canadian people, I just saw a column posted to the Globe and Mail. Somebody put it on Facebook. How this World Juniors was supposed to be Hockey Canada's road to redemption. Speaking of, you got to die before you live again. We've turned the page. We have a new CEO. Everything's new. Crap the bed in Sweden. I'm sorry, but I don't see the correlation there at all. That's silly. But that's people that don't know anything writing about sports, and they shouldn't. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, and he says, let's not lump in pragmatic analysis and constructive criticism of Canada's World Junior performance with obnoxious commentary from the lunatic fringe. These are not the same thing. That's from Glenn in Medicine Hat. I was very pragmatically saying this Canadian team wasn't very good. And Luke, hey, we're all going to have an opinion. Can we please air them and not get into name calling and yelling and you're a big stupid head? Yes, I understand we didn't have Fantilli and Bedard and certain guys. But I also know we had Fraser Minton and Braden Yager and Macklin Celebrini. We had some pretty good players. They underachieved. Can we all agree that they underachieved? Darren, can we say that?
Yeah.
Did you go along with that?
Of course.
It's what I said. It's what I said. Right? I think that's what I said. It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Just throwing that out.
Beautiful.
Okay. I do want to flip something over to football in a second, but there are a lot of great comments here. The Barflies regarding our daily NHL pick'em. He says, Bet Regals, bad takes. Oh, listen, I can handle bad takes all on my own. We don't need to roll predictions into that. I have enough bad takes, believe me, on my own. The poll question today is, with Canada out, are you still watching the World Jays? And the poll is brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Clark, what are they saying? I voted no. Darren voted yes. What's the audience saying? What's the peanut gallery saying? Yeah, 68% on YouTube saying, no, we're not watching it no more. Just like me. Ryan in Toronto says, with Canada out, I'll be cheering for Sweden on home ice to take it all. Alan in Saskatoon writes in and says, this Canadian team was not a good team. No leadership and no drive to the sweater. That's what I saw. And I don't think that's being a hater. And Wayne in Victoria, BC says, for people who don't like the topics we talk about on the RP show, don't watch. It's kind of what I was saying to the big shot producer that was anonymous. We're not going down that road today. I think after the break, which we have a few minutes before we get to it, Darren, we'll play Deal or No Deal. Sorry, NHL Top 5, Bottom 5, and Breakaway Bets. I like it, Nelson. I like it. I'll buy you a taco burrito combo for that. But I want your take on this. If you've got a choice, Darren, and you are an NFL owner or general manager, let's say owner, and you had a vacancy, let's say you're the Vegas Raiders. Who are you hiring? Jim Harbaugh or Bill Belichick?
I'm hiring Jim Harbaugh. There's a lot more upside with Jim Harbaugh than there is with Bill Belichick right now. A lot more questions with Bill Belichick than there is with Jim Harbaugh. Jim has been a guy who's won everywhere he's went, right? He hasn't won the Super Bowl or a national championship, but in some time ended up winning 3 Big Ten titles now consecutively. He took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. He wins a lot of games. I think, if I'm the Chargers specifically, I think there's a deal to be made for Jim Harbaugh, and I think he's probably either at or near the top of their list of desired candidates.
ADD, from World Juniors to NFL coaching vacancies. And that's what works. But the thing is, I'm anti Bill Belichick because he's not just because of what he did to Brady, but he's the old school guard that I don't think, the old guard, not a position guard, that just doesn't fly anymore. Like, I'm sorry. Harbaugh's been coaching kids, okay? And look at the quarterbacks that he's developed there and what he's done. If you go back and watch the Aaron Hernandez Netflix documentary, Aaron Hernandez walked into Belichick's office and said, I need a trade out of here because I'm getting in trouble. I need out. I want out. And Belichick's like, get out of my office. And he ends up murdering 2 people and hanging himself in a jail cell. I don't think Jim Harbaugh would do that. Do you know what I mean? He's just
Yeah.
Again, it's all about team. But it's all about ego. And clearly him and Brady weren't going to get along long term. And you got to pick it. Apparently, you got to pick a side. I picked Brady's. And I'm glad that Belichick's going through this squalor. But just because he wants to come back and coach is my point. Doesn't mean somebody should hire him. Sorry, you were going to say something?
No, Bill's the boss, and it's Bill's way. And, that worked and has worked in New England with the right pieces and players. But for Jim Harbaugh, it's different. He's a player's coach. And you talk about all those guys, in Michigan. That's the whole, Michigan versus everybody theme that's kind of taken on the year with Harbaugh's trouble and the 2-3 game suspensions he served. The players love him and love playing for him. His coaches love him. And I think that translates. So he's found a way to, as you said, Grandpa, Harbaugh found a way to relate and grow and adapt to the new players of today's game.
Jim Harbaugh should have his pick of jobs. And again, Bill Belichick wants to come back and coach next year, even though it looks like he'll be out in New England because that's all that he knows how to do. Well, maybe learn to knit, Bill. Time's up. That's what I think. Anyways, John Ohm says, not a Bill fan. Time to retire, dude. Saying it the nicest way. And Paul Jefferson, watching in Humboldt, says, bet Regals picking sticks. That's not bad, but in my mind, I think of the old game pickup sticks. The long toothpick.
Yes.
With the tissue paper on the end. I still like the breakaway bets. A lot. So we got a lot to get to when we return on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Telemiracle Online 50/50 is live. Buy your tickets now at telemiracle5050.com. We are just pleased as punch to be announcing it today for the first time, and even happier to be supporting Saskatchewan's favorite charity. Saskatchewan's charity. Must be over 18 years of age and physically in Saskatchewan to purchase your tickets, okay? The tickets are on sale until February 23rd at 4 p.m. SAS time. Winner gets half the final jackpot total, in case you don't know how a 50/50 works. All proceeds going to Telemiracle 48, supporting Saskatchewan's charity. Visit telemiracle.com to learn how the Kinsman Foundation is helping people every day in Saskatchewan to improve their independence and quality of life. Saskatchewan remains our #1 region for viewership. Thank you so much. My home province. Love them a long time. Moose is with us as well as we continue. And let me check the text line, 902-518-3033 for Sober Carpenter. Regarding the rebuild, Ron Thompson. He's an original Sasky that's a Flames fan living in Calgary. So, Ron, get your 50-50 tickets. Get somebody to buy them for you, okay? Ron says the Flames have some of the best young players in the league. Patience is going to keep us competitive a few years. True fans have no patience. Listen, I don't want to get into the... People act like I just fell off the turnip truck. I don't want to get in the debate over what's a real fan or a true fan and not. What exactly is a true fan? If you Googled it, if there was some sort of street lingo definition of a true fan, what would it say? Because I'll be honest, Darren, the fans that say enough of this BS and they walk away is as much of a true fan as the sucker that keeps buying tickets to every game. That's what I think. You?
Yeah. I mean, it can be defined so many ways. I like to think, you know what? You cheer for the team the way you want to cheer for the team. You be a fan the way you want to be a fan. If you're enjoying sports, enjoy sports. Whatever way that is. If you just want to check the scores and that's what keeps you happy and check the stats and not watch the games, then that's being a fan in your way. If you want to watch the games and not deal with any of the BS around it, that's cool too. Do you?
Yeah, Bob Dice and I had this chat. The wonderful head coach of the Ottawa Red Blacks, Canada's, Ottawa's CFL team. And he's like, you know, I don't even really remember what it was like to be a fan. And I'm kind of that way. I've talked about this week. This is my 36th year in this perilous trade. And the foggy fun days of the 90s with the Riders when I was a fan, you know, or growing up as an Oiler fan as a kid. And Pocklington ruined it on August 9th, 1988. I just discovered the trigger and why I have a problem with owners. Thank you. Talked myself into it, right? That's why they call it the talking cure. But anyways, that's my point is, I'll just say, what's the team that, I worked for them for 20 years as the voice of the team, the Rough Riders, but it's why you don't see us talking about the Rough Riders that much anymore, because I don't have anything to say that's good, because I don't like what's going on. And people can say, it's sour grapes because you got fired. No, I'm long past that. But they're conveniently glossing over that they've missed the playoffs the last 2 years. They hosted the Grey Cup and didn't even make the playoffs. They're in squalor. The stadium's half empty. But no, we'll get them this year. No, you're not going to, right? So that's sort of, and in the 90s, what forced change was people saying, I've had enough of this. And the stadium is kind of where it is now. And that's when the general manager at the time said, if we don't make the playoffs this year, I'll resign. They missed the playoffs. He resigned. Alan Ford. He's a man of integrity, lived up to his word. And do you see what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Probably should be saving more of this for a Football Friday, but I'm just saying, whose right is it to say who's a true fan or not, or what is a real fan? I think you said it best, Grasshopper, that you can cheer for the team however you want, but I feel like the people that have their own ideas of how they want to cheer for a team define themselves true fans. Do you know what I mean? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You define yourself. You know, nobody gets to tell you, what qualifies being a fan or not. You know, is there a set number of games I have to watch before I'm a fan? Am I not a fan if I leave with 5 minutes left? You know? You can't tell me if I'm a fan or not. Only I can.
Well, hey, let's get down to it. And by the way, we got a couple things here. John Ohm, thanks for sticking with us as much as you do and participating as much as you do. He says, I totally agree with Rod's take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Right, but when I say it, I'm accused of having sour grapes, which I don't. I'm just saying it the way it is, and I'm tired of going around the mulberry bush. Have fun with your team. How's that working? Ryan in Toronto, with a very moment of clarity that I want to point out here, says if there was a definition of a true fan, it would be a picture of me watching the RP show. That's Ryan in Toronto. Can we make that meme a cartoon of him in front of the show, in front of his TV or his screen? That would be good. And here's the point. Okay, this came up this morning too. I'm kind of shocked how it's coming out on the show today. But when I went to go speak to the high school football team here, 3-time state champion Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs, or when I was crisscrossing all over Saskatchewan speaking at those banquets, I was representing, so up there I was representing the team and the radio station, and they didn't care. As a matter of fact, they were mad that I was doing it. So down here, or when I do the things in Saskatchewan, like speaking of those hockey points last year, right, with all those kids, where I went, and in Alberta, emceeing Theo's golf tournament and the Rocky Mountain Rotary Classic golf tournament, which you were at. I'm representing this show. I'm representing me. Not the team brand. Why? They don't even want you doing it. That was in my own mind when we started this. I'm like, no, we'll be the team. We'll be the franchise. That's the way it'll be. So I like the fact that Ryan has said that. We're really running out of time. So, okay, Bet Regal's breakaway bets. That's what it's going to be today, and I see no reason for it to change. I'll just put a D or an R beside each. Who wins tonight, Buffalo or Montreal, Moose? At Montreal.
Buffalo.
Okay, perfect, because I'm taking the Habs. Les Habitants. Some guy was getting off an elevator the other day at a hockey game. Here, Panthers. And every game, he does a raffle on the concourse. And he had a Habs scarf. It was the night Montreal was here, I think. Yeah, it was. Because Serena was with me. And the guy goes, do you know what the H stands for on the scarf? This was here in Sunrise, Florida. I said, yeah, Les Habitants. He goes, no, hockey. Club de hockey. Everybody has it wrong. You got it wrong. Of course, I Googled it, and I'm like, son of a... He's got it right. I'm wrong. Pittsburgh at Boston. Who wins?
Ooh. Pittsburgh will bounce back.
Wow, I'm taking the Bruins. Columbus Blue Jackets at the Philadelphia Flyers.
Flyers.
Me too. Chicago at the New York Rangers.
Rangers.
I agree. Calgary Flames at the Nashville Predators.
Flames.
I'm with you. Deal. The Vancouver Canucks at the St. Louis Blues.
Canucks.
I'll take the Blues. The Tampa Bay Lightning at the Minnesota Wild.
Tampa.
No, can't do it. I'm going with Minnesota on that one. Colorado Avalanche at the Dallas Stars.
I'll take Dallas.
I will take the Avalanche. The Islanders at the Arizona Coyotes. A sneaky good game. Who wins?
Sneaky good game. I'm going to take the Yotes.
Me too. Florida at the Vegas Golden Knights. That is the game of the night. Stanley Cup rematch. Florida Panthers at the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll take Vegas to win, just so you know, because the Panthers thumped them here a couple of weeks ago. Who are you taking?
I'll take Florida just to take the other side, and looks like I got another late night game to watch tonight.
Yeah, Ottawa at Seattle. We're both taking Seattle, right?
Yes.
Detroit at LA Kings.
I'll take the Kings.
That's times 2. And Winnipeg Jets at San Jose. I'll put us both down for Winnipeg because San Jose didn't beat anybody. They'd lose an inter-squad game. The San Jose Sharks.
Oh, no.
Brent Waltman Brand new friend of mine from Wellington, Florida writes in, and he says, American college football teams seem to have only the truest fans. No matter the players that come and go, they cheer year in and year out. Ain't that a fact, Jack? That's definitely, like FSU got bombed 63-3 in the Orange Bowl. Nobody cares. That's a really good, and they fill the stadiums no matter what. That's the phenomenon I'm still trying to get my head around. I'm going to do deal or no deal. I need your top 5, bottom 5 in the last segment today, okay? Will you come back for that? Will you do me a favor?
I'll be back.
Okay, and do we have Brennan Sonne ready to go, Clark? Okay, well, then we'll do it now. We'll do it now. We'll do it now. But you tell me the second that he logs in, please, Brennan Sonne. NHL top 5, bottom 5 for our exclusive betting partner, Bet Regal. Darren, here we go. The number 1 team in the NHL is the Boston Bruins in NHL Best, 722. Plus, they've won 4 games in a row. Number 1, the Boston Bruins. Number 2, you're not going to believe it, the Winnipeg Jets. I'm not joking. They're Canada's best team, 694 winning percentage, which is more than the Canucks. And they've won 3 in a row. Jets, number 2. Number 3, the New York Rangers, because everybody's saying it. Number 4, the Colorado Avalanche. I picked them to win tonight. They've won 3 in a row. And number 5, it is the Vancouver Canucks. Plus 46 goal differential. I believe that's the best in the NHL. Yeah, it is. That's my top 5. Boston, Winnipeg, Rangers, Colorado, Vancouver. Top 5. And the bottom 5 are these. Number 28, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Told ya, started bad, stayed bad. 29th, the Anaheim Ducks. 3-6-1 in their last 10. They are who we thought they were. The 30th team is the Ottawa Senators. Congratulations, you are Canada's worst team. The Chicago Blackhawks, 31st. At least signs of hope, right? If you're not selling wins, you need to be selling hope. But they still suck. 2 wins in their last 10. And then the San Jose Sharks, who, as I just said, would lose an intra-squad game. They've lost 9 in a row and are minus 80. And plus-minus goal differential. That's the temperature on Mars, Moose. San Jose are minus 80. Like, they're going all in on the rebuild, man. I respect that. Okay, we did it. Okay, Moose, we're done. Have a great day. You're good.
That's the temperature on Mars.
We gotta
Okay,
go.
have fun. See ya.
All right, Brennan Sonne joins us next from the Blades. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcast, and the streams, Spotify and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It's an exciting day, talking sports from paradise, introducing two brand new sponsors today. You've heard it, Telemiracle 48. The online 50/50 is live now at telemiracle5050.com. And Curling Canada, the Brier coming your way in the Brand Center in March. You'll be hearing a lot about them. But the WHL trade deadline's coming up, too. We are very pleased to welcome Brennan, the reigning WHL Coach of the Year. And with it being the new year, I'm sure he hasn't thought about that for a while because it's a new year and they're rolling. Brennan, welcome back to the RP Show. I would say congratulations on this season so far. We haven't talked all season, man. What's been going right for your Eastern Conference leaders this season?
It's year 3 for this staff now, and so a lot of players have known us for a long time. We're very, very tight in our dressing room, from leaders to staff to players we've acquired. So I think it's just a culmination of a process that started a few years ago, is what you're seeing right now.
25-8-2-1 leads the division, 53 points, 5 up on Medicine Hat. You know all this, 9 up on the Moose Jaw Warriors. I'm hearing all these trade rumors, but I'm not hearing the Blades, Brennan. You've made moves already. But what do you expect ahead for you guys before the trade deadline? Can you say anything, or are you happy with what you have?
Well, I just think that I need to stay in my lane a little bit. I mean, we chat with management all the time, absolutely, but I'm not in charge of that, and I'm not, making all the calls to other GMs and stuff like that. So are we done? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not 100% sure. What I do know is that I'm really excited to get our whole group together that we do have right now, because for basically the entire season, we've not had our full team. When we acquired Minton, he didn't even have a practice with us, and then Mollendijk went out of the lineup. So we haven't really had our full team yet this season. So that's really what I'm excited for.
You know what? Fraser Minton joined us in the middle of your West Coast trip. I don't think he'd played a game for you guys when he did. How is he? And then he ends up taking off to the World Juniors. How's he been for you guys, or is it too soon to even say?
I think his aura of maturity and leadership was just so obvious right away. I think everyone saw it. When he stepped in, I think every player almost just took a step and said, holy smokes, this is what a pro looks like. He is elite in every area. He's very, very impressive, from the human to the student to the hockey player. Very, very impressive, and I'm very much looking forward to working with him for the rest of the year.
Funny what a handful of games up in the show will do, even if it's with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I joke. I know he's that player. I saw him play here in Sunrise, and to be honest, he fit right in. So you've got an NHL player in your lineup. Would I be right in saying that, Brennan?
I think so. I mean, it is nice for the NHL teams when, you know, guys are young and you don't want to put them right into the fire and through that long grind of a season and playoffs and all that, to give them that extra year of just growth physically, a little extra time, a lot of puck touches in juniors. So that's my opinion. He could play in the NHL right now, but I also think it's a benefit to him long term to have a year in junior.
Hey, I think you'll enjoy the back and forth. John in Edmonton's watching, Oil Kings season ticket holder, and he says no WHL team has had their full lineup yet this season. I'm sure you get a kick out of that. You're only worried about your own roster, but is that, I guess everybody goes through injuries. What's your health level right now?
I mean, last game we had 6 or 7 players out of the lineup. We have had that for a little bit. And, well, it's true, like, teams are always missing players. What I'm referring to is a World Junior NHL player in Minton at the same time as a first-round NHL draft pick and signed NHL player in Tanner Molendyk, and now Alexander Suzdalev, who is also a signed NHL player. Like, I'm talking, like, players that are elite players in this league and, you know, will play in the NHL. I think when you get that group together, I think a lot of other things become clear. And so we just haven't had that clarity where you're having elite, high-level players and what it looks like and how your lines run and how your power play looks. Like, there is unknowns. So while I understand what he's saying, players are missing every game, there are still things we got to work through.
Oh, yeah, and John in Edmonton just likes to be a fly in the ointment. But you got to love the passion. And, you know, the other thing, there's got to be some unfinished business, Brennan, I would think, in your mind, because was it just last year against the Warriors you guys were so beat up? Tristan Robbins was playing like on a broken foot or something, or was a broken hand, and you know what I mean? Like, you didn't have your full lineup then. What's the attitude? And he's not even around, but it's still the core is there, and it's a great, maybe even a better team. Are the guys thinking playoffs yet, or are you even allowing them to think playoffs yet?
Yeah, 2 years ago in the first round, we lose to Moose Jaw missing Aiden Delgorjandier, and Tristan Robbins could, in the last couple games, maybe take some power play shifts. Last year in the third round, we're up against Winnipeg a couple days after playing a Game 7 in the second round, and we're calling up APD and we're just out of juice. We are thinking playoffs because I don't think that you just flip a switch. We're trying to develop right now the habits and the routines that we think are going to be successful come playoff time, to have that longevity. It's really important to manage ice time. It's really important to manage this and that to try and stay as healthy as possible. We're trying to get into the gym as much as possible right now so we can back off a little bit come playoff time. And it's also, you know, video and teaching with a lot of new players right now. Man, are we doing a lot of meetings, and we're trying to make sure everyone's on the exact same page. And so then we can back off those meetings a little bit as we get deeper. So our goal regular season wise is to win the division and hang that banner. And then from there, it's a new goal, and it's a WHL championship for us.
Would I be right in saying that you learned from those last 2 playoff runs, and you've changed things up a little bit?
Yeah, you learn, absolutely, no question. You learn what it takes in the big moments. Those are it. So when you go through your military training and you got your 90-day thing, like, there's no bullets flying, and you're preparing for when there's bullets flying, but nothing prepares you like when there's bullets flying. So I think getting bounced in the first round 2 years ago taught us a massive lesson. I think 2 Game 7 wins, comebacks last year also taught us massive lessons. And with so many of the guys that were on those teams, I hope we can apply those lessons and take the next step. For me personally, like, this is year 9 in the league as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. And man, that's enough time. Like, it's time to win a WHL championship.
Hey, well, lastly, I'll say this. I hope Saskatoon realizes what they have, but I think they do. I used to live there. It's a tremendous hockey city, and they haven't had a sustained good team like this for 30 years. What are you hearing around town, and what's the groundswell of support there?
Yeah, you know what? We talk about that too. We are so fortunate to have Blaine White as our AT, and he was here in the '90s. He was with those teams in the finals. And
Whitey.
Yeah, Whitey, man. So it's such a good lesson to have so many people that have gone through the pain. So we understand as a team and as a staff what this means. We understand that how rare this is, and we are not taking a single day or game for granted. Like our last two crowds, we were at 8,000 and 7,000, and we don't want to just be an all-star team, acquire players, lose all your picks. We don't want to be that all-star team feel. We want to be a team, and that's our focus. Even though we've acquired players, we intend to be the tightest team in this league. We think it's a strength. It was a strength of ours last year, and we intend for it to be a strength. We want to be a team that the fans enjoy watching because we're all heart and soul.
Sounds like you've got it going. So, Coach, I'll just say this. Good luck. It's been a thrill to watch, man. Congratulations on your success so far, and please take it easy on my Pats tomorrow night. Thanks, Brennan.
Thanks, RP.
Brennan Sonne, head coach of the Saskatoon Blades, WHL coach. We'll be right back with over to this. Live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues on this glorious Thursday. It's time for Overtime, and it's brought to you by our hockey-loving friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. Baseball has batting cages, golf has driving ranges. Why not have shooting lanes for hockey? Well, they've done it. 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. Send them down, or head on down. Tell you RP sent you. Ask for Randy and Michelle. Got a sports update coming up. Just, I don't know if we're going to continue this daily NHL picks, although I feel like we might. For Bet Regal, we were asking earlier whom we think, or what we should name it. Fake Gainer writes in from Béchard, Saskatchewan. Fake Gainer says, the Bet Regal Busters, yo, signed El Sasko in Saskatchewan, sent via BlackBerry. Because, of course, it was. Yeah, no. So far, I feel like it's going to be the Bet Regal breakaway bets. I'll buy a sandwich when I get home, Nelson, next time I'm back. Ward in Winnipeg writing in on the 902-518-3033 Sober Carpenter text line. And Ward says, hi, Rod and Darren and gang. Hope you had a good Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys. Good to see you back on Game Plus TV. Signed, Ward in the Peg. Thank you for saying that. And in this perilous trade, it's good to be anywhere. I saw some news here. Was it from 3 down in the break? I was surfing social media. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are severing ties with their special teams coordinator. Can't remember his name. And people are already saying that Craig Dickinson will end up there. And I hope for Craig's sake he does. It's interesting if that's what he wants to do. We were talking earlier this show about things that I never thought would happen because you live a half a century in one place, really, and you just think that's the way it is everywhere. And it ain't. And I just think about these football coaches. Craig Dickinson would be one, could be one. He's made a lot of money for a long time, and he's a career bachelor. He doesn't have to work. Maybe he'll be another one of those football guys that comes down to Florida with all his money, and you never hear from him again. I only named one, but there are many more. And I only named him because I don't think he'd care. Ed Orgeron, the former coach of the LSU national champion Tigers. It was divulged to me when I was in New Orleans last week at Christmas, lunching with what turned out to be Orgeron's cousin, Ron Este, the 8-season D-line coach for Saskatchewan, that Orgeron, like, you ever talk to Ed? No, he just picked up and took up with this woman and took off to Florida. We haven't heard from him. I'm like, I get it. I get it. So we'll see if Dickie goes to Winnipeg. There are a lot of those guys, though. I'm getting to know him more day by day. Sports update. Sweden will play for gold on home soil at the World Junior Hockey Championship. Jonathan Lekkerimäki scored the winner on a power play in the third period before adding an insurance goal as Sweden defeated Czechia 5-2 in the first of 2 semifinals today. Do you have, Clark, an update in the other game? Do you have it on? Or do we care? Because that is the poll question. Are you watching the World Jays? No, I got it. I'm pulling up my TSN app. It's interesting that the Score app doesn't even have the World Juniors on it. But TSN does, and Finland's, they 2-0, yeah. 2-0 Finland over the USA in that semifinal. 5 Canadian NHL teams are in action tonight. The Montreal Canadiens host the Buffalo Sabres. The Canucks and Calgary Flames take on the Blues and Predators, respectively. Meanwhile, the Ottawa Senators are in Seattle. And the Jets visit the San Jose Sharks. For our picks, rewind the show. The Leafs squeaked by the Ducks Wednesday night after taking 57 shots on goal. Austin Matthews scored the winner in overtime for a 2-1 Leafs win. Sports Update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. When an ancient power is unleashed, Aquaman must forge an uneasy alliance with an unlikely ally to protect Atlantis and the world from irreversible devastation. Starring Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Dolph Lundgren, and Nicole Kidman. And also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. It's a lot today, and I give kudos to the crowd, to the audience, that we're emerging from this show with me still in a good mood. I said, please don't ruin it for me. And they haven't. Should I delve into the streaming comments here? If anybody can ruin it, it would be John in Edmonton. And he writes in and says, the Score app does have World Junior scores, Rod. Well, again, not that I saw. John Ohm, thank you for the regular gang for helping me out here today. John Ohm writes in, he says, the special teams coordinator for the Bombers, Paul Boudreau, or former special teams coordinator for the Blue Bombers, because I saw on social media that he's out. Last minute of play in the RP show today. Tomorrow is going to be a hell of a lot of fun. It's a Football Friday. We'll be playing our NFL Deal or No Deal for the final week of the regular season. Clark, are you able to tell me Jim Barker for sure? Whom else? Do we know yet? Gus Frerotte. Only Gus Frerotte. The Pro Bowl quarterback. And what was he, 17 years in the league? Gus Frerotte. Oh, that's just going to be a doozy. Thank you, Jen, at the Four Seasons. You enjoy your day, too. Say hi to George for me, please, when you get a chance. I want to send a thank you out to Luke Gazdick and Brennan Sonne for making today's show great. And thank you, everybody, for tuning us in. You got a lot of choices out there. Thanks for choosing us. And we'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here at Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?